Hey there, 6A. So you should be at home right now and you're watching this video. And what I'd like you to do, this is from page 168 in your textbook, and the title of this lesson is called Interpreting Data. So let's take a look at this first part right here. It says, in recent years, people have been concerned about poor conduct in organized sports. Elaine Rackman of Ontario has developed a program called Just Play for tracking conduct at sporting events. Just Play displays the data it collects in graphs. And right now, I just want you to take a minute and think about the words that we don't know right now. The first thing is, what is poor conduct? Take a few seconds and think to yourself, what is poor conduct? And what might poor conduct be? You should be thinking to yourself that poor conduct is when people don't act appropriate. Just like when you get talked to by a teacher in school for not acting appropriately, that's what poor conduct is. So I want you to think about whose conduct or whose behavior the program would be collecting data about. Who watches sporting events? It could be people like coaches, players, parents, spectators. Anybody at a sporting event could be looked at for having poor conduct. And these graphs are going to be showing who's acting inappropriately at sporting events. Now, what kind of conduct might be considered inappropriate? Think about it. What might not be a right way to act when you're watching sports? Perhaps it may be yelling at the officials, maybe booing, swearing, rough play, not playing by the rules. Those could all be examples of poor conduct. So I want you to keep these things in mind as we complete the Explore section. So, take a look down here at Explore. It says, after each game, parents, officials rate the behavior of players, coaches, and spectators on a scale of 1, from very good, to 5, very poor behavior. This graph shows the conduct rating for 7 teams in a hockey program for 13 and 14-year-olds. So take a look over here at the graph. What kind of graph is this? If you said bar graph, you are correct. This is a bar graph. So let's take a look at the different aspects of the bar graph. What I'd like you to notice is that we have a y-axis and an x-axis. We also have a little legend down here, or a key, that tells us there are different bars for players in green, coaches in orange, and spectators in blue. And let's take a look at the other aspects here. On our x-axis, we've got team 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it's labeled here with a label, teams. We also, on our y-axis here, it's labeled as average conduct rating. So from the 1, very good, to 5, very poor. These are the different aspects of our graph. And we also have a title, Conduct Rating by Team. Now, each bar tells us the score that the players, coaches, and spectators received on every single team. Just taking a minute and looking at this graph, what do you think, what team had the worst conduct rating? I would say that Team 2 had the worst rating. But I also noticed something else. Team 4, the coaches, had a really poor rating. I wonder why that is. Did any team have a really good rating? What team would you say had the best rating? I would say that Team 4, or sorry, not that. I would say that the spectators from Team... Sorry, phone was ringing there. I would say that the spectators here for Team 3 had a really good rating. And overall, it looks like Team 4 and Team 5 seem to be a really nice team to play with. Now, what do you think would be a reasonable number in our range from 1 to 5 that you would expect most people to be scored at? I would say it's somewhere in the middle, probably here around 3. What would you think of a rating that was 3.5? Do you think that most players had a marker here at about 3.5? Take a look. 3.5 would be about here. I would say most marks were below there, so I would say that anything higher than 3.5 is too high. That's not a good score to receive. Look at the bars for coaches. What teams had serious problems with their coaches? Probably Team 2 and Team 6. Look how high their coaches scored. Or 2 and 4, sorry. 2 and 4 had really high marks for their coaches. What about spectators? Which teams had the worst spectators? Look here at 2, and again at 6, and at 7. Their spectators had high marks. What about players? What players received the worst marks for conduct? Definitely Team 2 if you're looking. Team 6's were not much better, but they still were below that 3.5 level. What team had the best players in terms of marks? If you said Team 7, you're correct. You can tell it because Team 7, their players had the lowest bar for the green. Now, take a look at the next graph down here. A rating of 4 or 5 is a critical incident. The circle graph here shows the source of critical incidences in a minor hockey association over a 2-year period. Take a look at the circle graph. What do you notice about it? You should notice that there's 3 different groups that make up the critical incidences in this circle graph. There are coaches, players, and spectators. Which population in this circle graph makes up the most critical incident events? I would say it's probably coaches or spectators. I would need to get my protractor to make sure. Why do you think a circle graph was used to show the source of critical incidents? What does the circle graph show you? Circle graphs make it easy to compare groups just by looking at them. That's why circle graphs are easy. You can just take a look at them. Now, take a look at the graph. What group do you think would be the worst? I would say coaches, maybe then spectators, followed by players, based on what I think their sizes are. Take a look at this line over here. It says a statement with the graph says that coaches and spectators were the source of almost 3/4 of the critical incidents. Do you think this is correct? You'll notice here that there's a faint line in between, dividing our circle graph into 4 sections. Do you think that you could, in your mind, picture the coaches and spectators taking up 3/4? I know I can. I just shift players around. I kind of, in my mind, shift the entire circle graph a little bit to the right. And I think that this is a correct statement. If you were able to understand most of these graphs and you were able to draw these conclusions, this is using your inferring skills that we've talked about. It means that you're understanding things fairly well. Make sure that you understand, or you come see me for help if you don't. If you also need to, you can take a look at this page here. Look at the graphs on here and try to make sense of them. Use your inferring skills. An inference is where we make conclusions based on logical reasoning. So make sure that you're able to do this. Tomorrow we're going to be practicing in class. Watch this again if you have any questions. Have a good night.